This is Mike Franklin. I'm the owner of this 1962 Piper Colt PA 22108, and today I'm going to review the logbook for the time frame that I've owned the property or owned the airplane, which is I purchased in March of 2018, so I've had it just about 4 years. So I'm going to review the log books, the airframe log and the engine log, and all the invoices of the work that I've done since I purchased the airplane back in March of 2018. Here is the log tab, and I posted the airframe log from 1981 to 2018. It actually goes through 19. And then I followed that up with the log, which makes it current. um, and then I'll do the same thing with the engine log here, which actually goes from to when I first got it until about and then it finishes it off here. And So let's start off with the airframe log. Okay, it's in reverse order. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to go back because, like I say, this goes back to 1981, and these logs go back to originally to 1962. So here's some log entries from the previous owner, and here's the logs from when I started. So nope, that's not it. Okay, this is from my the first this is the first entry in the log from after when I purchased the airplane. So he did the annual inspection. He lubed the hinges and pulleys as necessary, cleaned fuel strainer, checked cells and charged main ship battery, serviced tires, cleaned belly, vacuumed interior, and checked the ELT, replaced right brake pad, stop drilled crack in lower cowl skin, and fabricated the doubler patch. So inside the engine bay, there's a crack, and he just repaired that. Inside the engine bay, but in the cowl itself. Removed headliner and installed Airtex wool headliner, so it's got a brand new headliner. Removed lap belts and installed shoulder harness. So he put in 4-way seat belts. Let's see. Updated the weight and balance accordingly. Replaced the missing Vortex generator. The previous owner installed Vortex generators. I think it cost about $900 to do that. They're under the horizontal stabilizer on the tail, and they're on the top of the wings. Drained right fuel tank, removed fuel gasilator under co-pilot seat, cleaned assembly, resealed all fittings and replaced forward internal flare fitting, replaced bowl gasket, serviced right tank with fuel and leak checked gasilator, replaced deteriorated transponder antenna with new antenna, removed transponder and installed a Stratus ADSB Mode S transponder. And so we can go up on the next one. Yeah, ADSB out. Let's see. Removed Attitude Gyro. That was original, and it was quite an interesting contraption. We still have it. It's like a museum piece. It functioned, but it made a lot of noise. But anyway, he replaced that with a serviceable. It wasn't a new one. Much lighter, so it added to the useful load. Installed central instrument filter and replaced vacuum regulator filter element. Checked airworthy directives. let's see, fuel, replaced the wing struts. That was over $3,000. That was an airworthy directive that the struts be replaced with oil-filled units because there was some safety issues with the old ones because they could rust at the joints. Painted to match, and he certified was inspected in accordance with the regulations. So that's what he did with the first annual when I bought the airplane. And later I'll show you the invoices of that work and what the costs associated were. So that was the first year. And again, that was July of 2018. Okay. And let's see. And so this is the transponder check and so on and so forth. Okay, so the next year, perform the annual inspection, lube the hinges and pulleys as necessary, clean fueler strainer, repack the wheel bearings, service tires, clean belly, vacuumed interior, check the ELT, removed parking brake valve and replaced all seals. The parking brake wasn't working properly. Reinstalled the re-flared lines connecting to valves, service brake reservoir, blood the brake system as necessary, replaced main ship battery with a new Concord battery. The old one was like a 24 amp hour. I think the new one is 34 amp hour. Installed halon fire extinguisher, that was new. Updated the weight and balance. Installed a new ICOM com radio, that was over $3,000. There was nothing wrong with the old one, but the LCD was hard to read. And so the new one is much brighter, and it's a bright white, and it's fantastic. Brand new com radio. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, swung the compass and completed that. Checked airworthy directives. And that's the extent of that airframe log. So there's an ADS-B receiver and transmitter and antennas for it. So I'm going to move on to the current aircraft log entries. And again, I'm going to go back. Okay, here we go. Actually, these are in old order, okay? He replaced all the tires. Okay. Replaced the vacuum pump. Blood the brake system. Repaired the elevator trim. Yeah, the elevator trim wasn't functioning properly. He repaired that. Right wing inboard inspection cover. Yeah, so he secured the loose fabric at the right wing inboard inspection cover wing. And we'll be addressing that. It's still frayed, but it's been working since, this time. So June 20, June 21. So it's been 2.5 years. We're going to be looking at it again, make certain that there's, that won't continue to deteriorate in the next annual, which should be done. Today is February 2nd, 2022. The annual is due at the end of April 2022. But we're going to get it in earlier, and we'll be addressing that issue. He replaced the ELT on September 2019, and he mounted the unit itself in the back in the back of the airplane, and he put a switch on the dash for testing and, activating it and disabling it. Replaced parking brake cable, or installed one of the Vortex generators. Those things are glued on, so they periodically fall off. And we have spares for that. For manual inspection. Okay, we're moving on to the next year, which is 2020. Lubed hinges as necessary. Replace muffler shroud. Cleaned left wing drain valve. Adjusted park brake cable handle and toward the panel. Let's see. Muffler, and that's it for that. And here's the transponder check and encoder. And then here's the one for 2021, this past year. Annual inspection. Lubed hinges, cleaned fuel strainers, service tires. So the, let's see, vacuumed interior, ELT check, replaced all brake pads, replaced O-ring and right brake caliper, secured wire bundle under instrument panel, replaced nav lights with LEDs. So the airplane now all the nav lights are LEDs, the map lights are LEDs, and the taxi and landing lights are LEDs. Check the airworthy directives, and that's the extent of that. And those are all the airframe logs from the time that I purchased it till current. So let's take a look at the engine log from that time frame. Okay, so I'm going to have to back up a little bit. Okay, so here's my first one. Okay, so when I bought it, it had 2,939 hours, and it now has 3,089. So that's what, 6,100, about 150 hours I've put on it in 4 years. Here's the compressions. Changed the oil, gapped the plugs, rotated the plugs, secured the wires, checked the mag timing, replaced the dipstick tube gasket, replaced interior filament element, checked and adjusted valve clearances, post-inspection run-up, leak check, and that's it for July of 2018. Okay. Let's see. Okay, looks like I put the same page twice, so disregard this one. Okay, here's 2018. Replace the spark plugs with new. So we just replaced all the spark plugs, drained the oil, cleaned the screen, changed the oil, and that's it. So just did all new, plugs. Did I do that again? Yeah, it looks like I did that again. Yeah, may put it in there twice. Sorry about that. Okay, then the next year, 2019, did the compression check. Let's see, gap tested, replaced ignition harness, installed new aerospace, checked mag timing, replaced oil return coupler, replaced side baffles, tie wires with rivets, checked and adjusted all valve clearances, checked the airworthy directives, post-inspection run-up and leak check, and that was it for 2019. Did I do that again? Yeah, did it again. Okay. And what do we have here? Okay, this is for the harness assembly that he had installed. Okay, so let's go to the engine logs. Okay, so this is for September 2019. Drained oil, clean screen, changed oil, and the run-up leak check. Okay, here's 2020 in March. Compression check. Cleaning gap tested. Rotated spark plugs. Check to see the compliance list, and he's good there. Okay. And that was 2020. Okay, did a compression check, drained oil, serviced, let's see, rotated plugs, checked and adjusted valves, vacuum pump, adapter gaskets, shaft seal and gear, checked airworthy directives, and that was it for last year. And again, I did it twice. I don't know why I did that, but and what do we have here? This is for the vacuum pump documentation for the vacuum pump that was installed. Okay, so let's go down here at the bottom. Click here for all invoices for work performed while I've owned airplanes since March 2018. Okay, let me blow those up a little bit so you can see them. Okay, so this one goes. Okay, so this is when I first got it in July. I got it in March, and he did his first annual. And okay, brass flare fitting, brake pads, VFR certification. Okay, struts. You had to have the struts shipped in. It was an airworthy directive to replace the sealed struts, so he did that. And so here's the details of those things. So he did four-way seat belts were installed. Replaced both the struts on both sides of the airplane. As you can see, those are not cheap. And painted. He put in a Stratus ADS-B and transponder setup, and had to put the antennas for it. And he had to mount the receiver. I already had the receiver. I think I paid $800 or $900 for the receiver previously. So this is for the Mode S transponder ADS-B out device. So that's $3,000. Like I said, I had $800 or $900 in the receiver itself that I already owned before I owned this airplane. That's now mounted under the dash. He replaced the gyro attitude indicator with a serviceable gyro for $300. It was just a used piece of equipment and some sort of filter. So anyway, as you can see, that was $8,300, $76. That was the first year. And then the next, no, we're still in the same year. There's one of the mags wasn't checking out, and so he just found a plug that was no good, because at this point he hadn't replaced the plugs. So he just replaced this one plug, and that was good again. And then the next year he replaced all the plugs, and did a complete tune-up. Spark plugs. Yeah, so he replaced 2 spark plugs per cylinder, 4-cylinder motor. There's 8 of them. That was another $400. Okay, so here's the next year. Next year's annual. Let's see. Oh, did the ELT check. Removed the parking brake and reinstalled flare lines, reflared lines, service brake, the blood to brake system, replaced the ship battery, as I'd mentioned. He put in a 34 amp hour battery. There was a 24 amp hour battery in it. And he also put a battery tender system on it. So I have a system that I can control with my iPad I have an E switch, or what's it called? What's it called? It's called. I've got an app right here on my phone. It's called Switchy-On, and it's an app on my iPhone, and I can control the battery tender to turn that on, and also the engine block heater remotely at any time. Updated the weight and balance. The old com radio weighed 8 pounds, so we gained like 6 pounds there, and that attitude indicator was quite a contraption. Might have gained a couple of pounds there for useful load. Replaced the ICOM compressions, replaced ignition harness, side baffles, leak check, so on and so forth. And so again, the ignition harness, the com radio, $1,550. Added a new fire extinguisher and added a new ship battery. So that was another $4,679. Replaced nose, tire, and tube, and in the two mains as well. And so all the tires are new as of April 2019. And at this juncture, there's maybe 100 hours on it since then on those tires. Okay, here we have June, and replaced the vacuum pump, blood the brakes, repaired the elevator trim indicator wire, because the elevator trim wasn't working properly, so he repaired that. And there's the vacuum pump. Cost of that and the labor, another $986. So September 2019, replaced the ELT. The old one was 121.5 base. This one is satellite base. This is a modern technology. The other one was probably original. You're lucky it's line of sight. You're lucky if somebody's going to find you in that thing. So we had a modern one, and it's all up to date. And that's the cost associated with doing that, another $1,625. Okay, here's March of 2020. Annual inspection, lubed hinges, clean fuel, vacuum. Okay, ELT check, replace muffler shroud, cleaned left wing drain valve, adjusted park brake cable. The parking brake is a pretty unreliable system. Let me just say the parking brake is not a really good setup. The brakes work well, but the parking brake is, let me just say it's not the best quality system. So you can expect to have difficulties with that. I basically never use it. I just put chocks under the tires. Drained oil, but just a little heads up that that's always an issue with this damn thing. He's put some time and effort into it, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's just it's junk, and it was junk when it was new. Post inspection run up, checked airworthy directives, and so on and so forth. There's another $1,100. Okay, spark plug, arrow shell. There you go. And the ALT was $1,000, and it's quite a neat installation. It all goes way in the back, and then he has a switch on the front dash that controls the thing, and it was a really nice, clean install, really well done. I really like that. Transponder certification, as of October 2020. That was done separately because I could see the thing was expiring, so we got that done. And then here's April of 2021. performed annual inspection, lubed hinges and pulleys as necessary. You know, he takes the whole back, he takes the entire interior out of the airplane. He takes the back thing off so you can see right through the airplane and you can see everything. And he takes all the access panels off and checks all the cabling and whatnot for the ailerons and for the horizontal vertical stabilizer and whatnot, you know, the rudder. And let's see, secured wire bundle under the instrument panel. Replace the nav light bulbs. Yeah, so we replaced all the lights in the airplane with LEDs. Let's see, compressions. So gapped and rotated the plugs. Replaced vacuum pump adapter gasket. Let's see, leak check and airworthy directives, and that's where we are, $1,955 there. So that's all the work that's ever been done to this airplane since I've owned it. And in another video, I'm going to review the previous logs to, I'm not going to go through the entire logs back to 1962, but what I'm going to review is the engine rebuild, and I'm going to review the recovering of the airplane and some of the other things that were added by the previous owner, you know, fairly recently. I'll get into all of that, and there you have it. But like I said, all the logs going right back to 1962 are here. This is a link to all the monies that I've spent. I can document every penny. I have over $40,000 invested in this thing. Here's the manual and all the logs, and this is the last engine oil analysis. So I'd say that's a comprehensive look of what it is that I've done to this airplane since I purchased it. The people I bought it from, they flew the airplane here from northern Pennsylvania, and they had put 300 hours on it before me, and they'd done a variety of work, and I'll get into what they did in another video. Again, this is Mike Franklin. I'm the owner of this 1962 Piper Colt, PA 22108, pipercoltforsale.com. You can reach me at 315-876-2262. Again, it's Mike Franklin, pipercoltforsale.com, 315-876-2262. Thank you.